Hello all, a very quick one before we get started. In the last Queen Marchesa vs Leovold video, something came up in the chat very briefly at the end of the video. And it was that we got into lucky opening hands, and I did reference in that video that you've already seen by now, that us getting into lucky fast mana didn't exactly jive, because not only did we get into it, but my opponent got into it as well. So this is very slight spoilers, but this is the first game that you haven't seen yet, and that does act as a reference point towards what my opponent was referring to in the chat in the last game. Hopefully it'll make sense. I'll put something up on the screen to try and explain it better. Basically they were, well, I don't know if they were complaining, I hope they weren't complaining about our supposedly lucky fast mana. I'll put something up on the screen anyway to put it all into context. Queen Marchesa versus Leovold Emissary of Trest. Let's see if we can prey on Leovold today. Haven't come across Leovold in a long time. And we're on the draw, so hopefully we can get into a black mana. Although we've got white and black here, haven't we? We'll need 2 more black mana to get into necropotence. Turn 1 mana crypt from our opponent. I don't feel too bad for going in for mana crypt into Sol Ring then. And they're going for Jace Vryn's Prodigy and a Mox Diamond, getting rid of a Wasteland into Serum Visions. Okay, well that's quite the start, isn't it? This is any colour, isn't it? Yeah, that's a mana of any colour, so they could go in for their Leovold next turn. There is a swamp for us. So let's play the Arid Mesa. And just so that our opponent isn't going to force us to discard, they might go for a wheel or something next turn. Let's go for Sol Ring as well. And we might as well get a white source out now, so I'll go for the Scrubland. And we'll get down the Rest in Peace while we've got the chance. So that will keep the Jace Vryn's Prodigy from flipping over. But they'll still be able to loot with that thing. And they get rid of Crucible of Worlds, which, yeah, that's an obvious discard when the Rest in Peace is in play. Now we might see a Leovold. I would very much like to get rid of Leovold and the Mana Crypt, but I don't know how likely it is that we'll be able to do that. A board wipe here would be nice. Get rid of that Jace as well. Okay, well there's the Godless Shrine, so we'll get down the swamp. No, I won't. I'm going to shock down the Godless Shrine, just in case we need double white at some point. I'm just waiting on a wheel from our opponent, so let's go like that. Then we'll go Anguished Unmaking onto Leovold, and they can play that out again if needs be. It just holds them off a turn. They will draw a card with Leovold. And then we are looking like we're going in for Necropotence next turn, although I may go for Queen Marchesa. Depends on what our opponent does. But keeping Leovold out of play is the key here. So they draw into a card there, and they'll draw into another one at the beginning of their turn. And there is a green source for if we get rid of the Mox Diamond. If they drop another land, and they'll be able to go for Leovold yet again, even if we remove it again. Good thing about Necropotence is that it actually isn't draw. It is put the card into your hand at the beginning of the next end step, which gets around Leovold. Okay, getting rid of our Sol Ring with an Abrupt Decay. Then going for a loot, getting rid of the Forbid. We'll open up the Exile Zone over here so that we know what's gone. I'm guessing the Abrupt Decay went onto our Sol Ring there. Now, as our opponent held up counter magic is the question. I think they might have done. Leovold, they can't play out Leovold into a wheel as far as I can tell, so I'm actually going to try and get down Queen Marchesa. Worst case scenario, they counter it and we get a counter out of their hand. And best case scenario, we actually get the Monarchy here. Yeah, and I think they're holding up counters.
So that gets rid of Mana Leak out of their hand. They've only got one card left. That does get that counterspell out of their hand, and it also tells us why they got rid of the Sol Ring. But really didn't want the Necropotence countered there. So glad to get that counterspell out of the way. Another land, so Leovold can come out another 2 times. Looks like they're going for Leovold here. They've got one card in hand. They can go for something with Jace if they want to. They are discarding. They've gotten rid of a Brainstorm. And now they've got 2 mana held up. They could have double blue. Okay, Unexpectedly Absent. Yeah, do they have a counter spell? I think we just go Swamp into Necropotence here. And keep our fingers crossed. Okay, that comes down. So now we go 5 into this. We're going to have to win quickly, and we're going to have to continuously get rid of Leovold as well. But if anything's going to help us get there, it's Necropotence. Okay, our Darksteel Mutation onto Leovold is really good. They're going for more blue mana in Watery Grave. And we didn't get into another land out of all that pile either. A Sword of Feast and Famine forces us to discard a card. That's a lot of damage as well. But luckily, Darksteel Mutation is a white card so that it will actually get around that Sword of Feast and Famine. This doesn't give Defender though, so they'll still be able to swing in at us. And they'll untap their lands here. They have a card in hand still. I think we get rid of... Bitter Blossom might be too slow. If we go Darksteel Mutation, we'll have 1 floating. 2, 3, 4 and 5. If we draw into white, we can go Unexpectedly Absent as well. Yeah, I think we have to get rid of Kaya here. Then Jace going for the loot again. And this time getting rid of Narset, Parter of Veils. And now going for a spell by the looks of it. Necropotence of their own. Yeah, that's pretty good. They go for a full grip of 7. I dare say Leovold is going to win this one. Now we're not going to draw a card here, or we lose the flip to Mana Crypt as well. So let's play a land. We'll go Darksteel Mutation. And that has our opponent draw a card as well. They've probably got counter magic in hand for this. And that knocks our opponent's commander down to a 2-3 with Indestructible. But I think it still has protection from... Yeah, I think it still has the sword abilities. Doesn't say so on there, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Then I don't really like... We might as well get down the Skull Clamp because we've got that mana floating. We can go down to 3 life, which means we can draw 5 cards. So we're going to have to do that and hope for something really good, because there's only a finite number of cards we can draw now. Okay, Lingering Souls, Arena Rector, Merciless Eviction, Grave Titan. We can't crack that Marsh Flats unless someone plays an Urborg. We have to get rid of Bitter Blossom there, because it's useless to us. This game's been way too fast with the fast mana. And I dare say our opponent's gotten into better cards than we have. No instants here whatsoever. Look how many cards we had to draw, by the way, before we got into another land. How many was that? About 10 off the top until we got into another land. So that's a bit unlucky. Haven't missed a land drop at least. Leovold swings in again, and that has been buffed up to a 5-5 because... Oh, I missed. They've gotten rid of the Darksteel Mutation. Ah, there we are, a Nature's Claim. And then our opponent going for a Mystical Tutor on the top, putting a Time Twister on top. We will discard the Jitte, because that's just going to be too slow. And then Spellseeker, yeah, they exile the Time Twister off the top with Necropotence before shuffling it away with the Spellseeker. And then put a Mana Drain into hand, yeah, so that seals it. They just had all the answers ready for us, unfortunately. And a few tutors will definitely get the victory off for them. Would have been really good to get into Unexpectedly Absent and the Darksteel Mutation, but Not to be, unfortunately. See if we lose this. Yeah, we lose the flip. That just sums this game up. So it's a good game to our opponent. We didn't manage to prey on Leovold today, but if the cards were stacked in a different fashion, then I'm sure we could have beat our opponent here. It's just the luck of the draw in some cases. We both got into fast mana, and I don't think either of us missed a land drop. So it's just one of those things. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.